To be a sponsor, how many years back do they look at your taxes?
3 years.
Mintu said, could you give us a DACA update?
There is nothing going on in Congress. There's a case for DACA going up to the Supreme Court. The case is that Donald Trump wants to eliminate DACA. It was an executive order from Obama. He tried to eliminate it. People sued. President Trump says he can't eliminate it. The case is going all the way up to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is due to make a decision next summer on whether or not President Trump can roll back DACA or not. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully Congress will pass a law that gives DACA some sort of more permanent residence, but right now there's no talk about it.
Sandra Salinas said, what do you do if your friend has lost his permanent resident card that had no expiration date on it, and how long is it going to take to actually get a new one?
You have to file an I-90, and it'll take anywhere from 12 weeks to 6 months.
Shireen said, if I used to get Medicare when I was pregnant, is it going to affect me now and I'm putting in my papers?
Possibly, if it's in after October 15th.
Would having Medicaid affect your adjustment of status if it was filed before October 15th?
No. As long as it still will affect it, but affect it much less.
Okay. God Working For Me said, my wife is a U.S. citizen and not on any government benefits, and I want to file for my green card by October 20th. Will the new immigration law affect her?
Yes.
Max Santos said, I got an I-797 NOA for an upcoming biometric for an I-485 saying the action was completed and approved for filing with a red stamp and handwritten initials and numbers. What does it mean?
It means that you did your biometrics and they're waiting for having an interview.
Catherine said, I'm an unemployed permanent resident and I recently got pregnant and used Medicaid throughout the pregnancy until I delivered my baby, and I filed for my husband back in 2017 and then used Medicaid after that. Are the new rules going to affect this process?
Yes.
Kenny said, I sent a concurrent file for my spouse and 2 stepkids under 18 since June, and I received an NOA, a 797C for my wife and one of my kids. Until now, I have not received for my second kid and the one outside of the U.S. What should I do? Should I refile for them?
No, you should follow up with immigration and, if necessary, file a mandamus.
Stephanie said, my husband recently put my papers in on August 19th of 2019. How long is it actually going to take to get a response from USCIS to say that they received my file?
You should get a receipt notice within 4 to 6 weeks, if not sooner.
Nancy said, my dad is a U.S. citizen and he filed for me in 2017. I'm over 21 and married. Could you tell me about how long we have to wait? And is there any way that you could help us expedite that?
Dad filed for you in 2017.
Yeah.
And how old are you?
Over 21, unmarried.
Over 21, unmarried. You have about 7 years of waiting start to finish.
Is there any way that they could expedite that process?
No, but maybe you can find a different process to get a green card.
Now,
somebody called me today and they said, Brad, if I file my citizenship through you, are you going to make it go faster?
Yeah.
I said, no, I'm not. There's no expedite of citizenship. The process is the process. I can't make anything go faster. But what I can do is make sure that it goes right. It doesn't go slower than it should, because we see these questions all the time that people say, how come I'm waiting? How come I didn't get my work? Because you screwed it up.
Right.
So when you come through me, we don't slow it down. We take the pressure off of you. You don't have to stay up at night wondering if you're doing things right or not. That's why you come to a lawyer. And also, most importantly, in this time, years ago, the motto for immigration was, we want to provide good customer service to our customers, you getting a green card. Now their motto is, we want to protect Americans. So it is no longer a customer service oriented process.
Right.
It is 150% adversarial. When you have an adversarial process, when you have the government looking to deny instead of looking to approve, when you have the government against you instead of for you, it's when you need a lawyer next to you to make sure that your rights are not being violated, because they're going to violate your rights left, right, and center, and you won't even realize.
Nancy has a follow-up question to that. They moved from California to Alaska. Now, the file says that some families have suggested that my dad should transfer it to the Alaska Service Center away from California. Do you recommend it?
Yes, because it should be transferred to where you are living, absolutely. Because if you get the interview in California and you go to California and they see that you're living in Alaska, they're just going to transfer it and you've just delayed and delayed.
And this is why you get a lawyer.
Right.
Peter said, I've been on administrative processing for more than 120 days after being approved on the interview day by the consulate, and the status changed to refused last week on CEAC. When I got my passport, it says I'm being refused under the 214B letter. I've got strong ties to my country as well, so I don't know why. What should I do next?
Have a consultation with me. I don't know why either, but we'll figure it out. And if necessary, I'll call the embassy.
Daniel is wondering, when can he file for his child after he gets his green card?
The next day.
So we are trying to send our forms in, but we don't have all the money. So we're considering sending in just the I-130 first. Are we still going to get caught up in the public charge situation if we do that?
Yes. I would suggest get the money together and file the whole adjustment before October 15th.
Brave said, my parents' case is under administrative processing for the last year and a half. They're Syrian. And at the time of their interview for immigrant visa, the consular office submitted a waiver on their behalf. What do you think is going to happen?
I think they're going to be delayed for eternity until you get a lawyer involved.
I've applied for my N-400 in January, and yesterday I got an email saying that they took action for the interview I had. That was supposed to be me and my husband, and I applied for an innocent spouse that they recommended, but it's still pending. Does that make any sense, Brad?
The only time you have an innocent spouse is with taxes. So when your husband owes a substantial amount of taxes and has nothing to do with you, and you don't want to be on the hook for taxes, you sometimes apply for an innocent spouse. But I never heard of an innocent spouse for a green card. So I don't know what she's talking about.
Yeah, it says that
I heard of abused spouse.
Got an email that took action for the interview, and they viewed how I had my taxes that were from my husband.
Oh, I see. Oh, so you did do an innocent spouse for the
right,
taxes.
yeah.
Then. Okay, so.
But that said tax, so that's why I didn't say
issue.
tax.
It's a tax issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Salone said, I got my I-765 receipt from USCIS. What does it mean when it says the eligibility category is C09?
It means you're eligible for your green card. You're eligible for your work permit because you filed for an adjustment of status for your green card.
Martin wants to know, what's the difference between the I-45 approval notice and the welcome notice?
Same thing.
Aha. Beverly Robinson King says, I got my work permit on August 1st of this year, and I saw that when I was logging into my account, the fingerprint review was completed. As of August 29th, they completed their review of my fingerprints and are working on my I-765. What does it mean? I filed the I-485, 765, I-130, and I-360 concurrently last March.
And you still haven't gotten your work permit? It means you
No,
should call
she
me.
got the work permit August 1st, but
Okay.
now online it's saying we completed our review of your fingerprints and are working on your I-765. So she's wondering, what is that step, and then what's the step after that?
Well, working on your I-765 means working on your work permit, but you already got it. So that's obviously incorrect on the computer. The next step is wait for an interview, but there's issues with VAWA right now because we don't know what Congress is going to do at the end of the month. Everyone expects it to extend, but it'll be really at the last second. And by the way, Lisa Bling Rose feels there's some sabotage going on. And I did read an article today. I don't know if it is true or not.
Okay.
I did read an article, I think I saw it on Yahoo News, that said that the FBI is secretly investigating people who are helping immigrants and immigrant rights activists.
Really?
Yeah, maybe the FBI is watching me right now.
Well, there is no one that helps immigrants and immigrant activists more than Bradshaw
Right,
Live.
you can watch me all you want. What you see is what you get.
We're very entertaining.
That's right.
Can you imagine if you're the FBI agent assigned to watch Bradshaw Live every day?
Right.
Like, that's your assignment. You keep an eye on those guys.
That's right. He's wearing a blue suit today.
I think it's a new pocket square. Dan, I think we've got a new pocket square today. It's a stunner, y'all. It's
That's
a stunner.
right. I think he put on a few pounds. I don't know what he's doing.
Ooh,
All right.
She had all that food in Amsterdam.
That's right.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, FBI. This is a pretty lackluster show compared to like all of the crazy 4chan people that they actually should be looking
Exactly.
at. Our next question comes from Nadia, who said, my stepkid had an interview in May in Kingston. Now, in July, they asked for DNA tests and the results were good. Still no response, and it's been in administrative processing since May. What's the deal?
Trump is delaying everything. After administrative processing for more than 120 days, you need to get a lawyer involved.
Javel said a friend of mine is in South Carolina on their visiting visa for less than 3 months, and they want to go to nursing school. How could they go about enrolling?
First, they got to get accepted to a nursing school, and then they have to apply for a change of status to a student, and that change of status is not going to happen within the time frame that they're allowed to be in the United States. So they would either also simultaneously also have to file an extension of their visitor's visa or go home and wait for the student visa. But you can't do anything until at least 90 days after you got here, because then there would be a misrepresentation.
Deandra said, would getting emergency Medicaid after I gave birth affect me if I filed before October 15th?
As an adjustment, no. As an I-130, yes.
Rochelle says that her sister entered the country in someone else's name. Is there any possibility for her to adjust? She's about to get married. She's got 3 children born in the U.S. They are 17, 12, and 2 years old.
How is she going to adjust?
That's the question.
You got to wait for the 17-year-old to become 21 unless you're going to marry a U.S. citizen in a bona fide marriage.
Well, 17 years. We don't have that much. If you've already waited 17 years.
Wait 3 more years, 3.5 more years. Yeah.
Rosemarie said, my husband is filing for me and my children in Jamaica, and I'm here in the U.S., but my children, all of my 3 children are back in Jamaica. He's paying child support right now, and he's paying back child support because he owes almost $14,000. I'm waiting for my interview date, but should I be worried?
If he owes back child support, yeah, it's an issue. It's a totality of circumstances test. So what the government sometimes says is, if you can't support your own children, how are you going to support another relative to come here in America? I'm not saying they will say it, but it's a consideration that happens.
I've got an I-360, I-485, and I-765 pending since last year. However, I've updated my address every time it changes with immigration, and I've received confirmation of such as well as other notices to my new address. After approving my I-765, my husband, they sent it straight to my abusive husband's address. I received letters to my correct address before saying that the I-755 was sent. I-765.
Yeah. She has to do an AR-11 and change her address. Again, you can do it online. I don't know why it's being sent to abusive husband, but go online, do an AR-11 and change their address.
Now that they've sent the old work, the work permit to the abusive husband, is there any way that she can apply to just get a new work permit?
She would have to reapply again. They screwed up. Immigration screwed her.
Pamela says, I'm a green card holder for 5 years and I would like to apply for my citizenship. I'm on Medicaid for health reasons and I am not on food stamps. Is that going to affect me? I am 66, working and paying taxes.
Nope, it will not affect you. You should become a citizen.
Dell said, my wife came on a J1 visa and it expires this month. Do I need to do a waiver for her if she is not subjected to the 2-year home residency requirement?
You do not need a waiver unless she is subject to the 212E home residence requirement. If she's not, just file a regular adjustment. I
sent my I-130 for my under 21 kids without the I-864, and I got my receipt. And is that if the law of affidavit of support comes into law, is it going to affect my application? And do you think I should go ahead and send it now?
Well, yes, if you did the I-130s, and it'll affect it. You don't need to do an I-864 right now because you got to wait until the cases get to the National Visa Center. Unless your kids are already here in the U.S., then yes, file an adjustment with the I-864 now before October 15th.
Sheena said, can a U.S. citizen sponsor someone even if they only filed taxes for a year?
Yes, and worst comes to worst, you'll get an affidavit of support from another person.
MS says CEAC states that the police clearance is necessary for all countries residing in except the U.S. My U.S. consulate interview is soon and I lived in the U.S. 14 years ago. Should I still get a police clearance despite what the CEAC states?
No, follow the rules and their instructions.
The I-130 is taking more than a year, Brad. I applied in July of last year for my wife and it is still pending. I answered an RFE in January. I'm a U.S. citizen. Are things still taking this long? What am I waiting on?
When was the RFE?
RFE was in January.
Yeah, it's going to take at least 12 months from the time you answered the RFE because you got an RFE that basically screwed up, so you got to wait longer.
April Young McKnight said, if someone was denied a visitor's visa in the past and then got one a year later, they came here, then applied for the R1 visa in 2016, denied in 2017. That person then got married in 2018 and filed their adjustment in 2019. Are there going to be any issues at the interview?
Why did he get denied the R1?
This we do not know.
We don't know. We don't know any of
There
these
will be an
issues.
interview for the interview based on the R1 being denied before, but we don't know why.
We don't. It depends. I would need to know
why it was
deep
denied.
into the history of what happened before. It's an issue if there's some sort of misrepresentation or something where something didn't look kosher. If everything was straightforward and you filed something, got denied, it's no big deal. Depends on what you did, whether you did anything wrong or not. I don't know until I see everything.
Okay.
And sometimes you don't know if you did something wrong. You think you did everything right, and you mistakenly did something wrong.
And then you get an RFE.
Right. Thanks for watching. For more Bradshaw Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.